You would never talk to a friend the way that you talk to your own body, not even close. If you spoke to a stranger on the street the way that you speak to yourself in the bathroom mirror, you would probably get punched in the face. So today, we're doing the work of finally extending the kindness you so freely give to other people to the one human you cannot escape, the one looking back at you in the bathroom mirror. Welcome to the Kindness Extremist Podcast. I'm your host, Shola Richards, aka Brother Teresa. I've spoken to tens of thousands of people all over the world about the importance of kindness. And I am obsessed with how we can bring more kindness into our daily lives and restore balance to a deeply unbalanced world. Every episode, I'll give you 3 practical strategies to create a kinder world, and I'll do it in 30 minutes or less. No fluff, just valuable, actionable content that you can implement in your life immediately after listening to help you actively create a kinder world. There's no time to waste. Let's dive in. What's up, my friend? Welcome back to episode 67 of the Kindness Extremist Podcast. I'm your host, Shola Richards, aka Brother Teresa. And as a reminder, if you're not already, please follow me on Substack at sholarichards.substack.com. And if you're enjoying this podcast, the best way to support this work, I'm saying with my full chest, is to leave a rating and a review. Both are deeply, deeply appreciated. Okay, I want to start today's episode with asking you to do something with me, like right now, wherever you are. I want you to think about the last thing that you said about your body. It could have been out loud or in your head. It doesn't really matter. The last time that you looked in a mirror, or the last time that you stepped on a scale, or the last time you tried on a piece of clothing that did not fit the way that you wanted it to fit, or the last time you saw an unflattering photo of yourself, the last time you noticed a new wrinkle or some new acne or a new something that you decided that was a problem. What did you say? Be honest with yourself. What was the exact sentence that ran through your head? Now, I want you to imagine somebody that you love saying the exact sentence to themselves in front of you. Your best friend, your partner, your kid, someone you care about deeply. Picture them looking in the mirror and saying the words out loud that you just said in your head. How would you feel? Well, what would you say to them? If you were anything like the people I've done this exercise with over the years, you would feel something close to heartbroken. You would want to wrap your arms around them saying, oh my God, please don't say that about yourself. Do not see yourself that way. Please, you are so loved. You're so much more than that. And then, with the kind of cruel irony that only the human mind seems to be capable of, you would walk away from that conversation, go straight to the next mirror you found, and say the exact same kind of thing to yourself that you just begged them not to say. This insanity is an example of the gap that I want us to close today, because specifically, I'm talking about the gap between the kindness you so freely give to the people you love and the brutality that you reserve for the one space where you'll spend every single second of your day inhabiting your own body. I also want to say this up front, that this episode is for everybody. To the men listening to this, don't think for a second that this topic is your cue to mentally check out. I know that body image stuff is strangely framed as a women's issue, but I'm here to tell you as a man who has been in many men's locker rooms, boardrooms, and counseling rooms, that the cruelty that men direct at their own bodies is just as relentless. It's just a little bit more low-key and arguably a little worse because it usually comes with more shame about even admitting that it's happening. Also, before we go any further, I want to name something. This episode is not going to be about body positivity in the way that the word usually gets used. We're going to talk about body kindness, which is something that you can practice no matter where you are in your own relationship with your body. Please hear me when I say this. You do not have to love your body to be kind to it. You just have to stop using it as a punching bag. You know how we roll in this podcast, fam. 3 parts, 3 strategies, and a kinder world will be waiting on the other side. Let's do this. Let me start by addressing the assumption that most of us are operating under, often without realizing it. The assumption is this: if I'm hard enough on my body, eventually I'll whip it into shape. If I criticize it enough, it will give in. If I shame it enough, it will finally cooperate. We treat our bodies like difficult employees we're trying to manage through fear, and somehow we expect that this approach will produce loyalty, performance, and care. And similar to how that strategy spectacularly failed with employees, the same is true with our bodies, and the research is clear on why. Dr. Kristen Neff is an associate professor at the University of Texas at Austin and a leading researcher on self-compassion. Her peer-reviewed studies published in journals like Self and Identity and the Journal of Personality and summed up in her popular books find that being kinder to yourself including how you relate to your body, is linked with better mental health, more sustainable health habits, and fewer eating disorder symptoms than beating yourself up. In other words, the data suggests that harsh self-criticism doesn't give you a real motivational edge. If anything, the people who are hardest on themselves tend to struggle more over time, while those who practice self-compassion are more likely to stick with choices that actually support their overall well-being. Why is that? Because cruelty makes our nervous systems clench. When we attack ourselves, the body responds the way it responds to any threat, by going to a defensive, protective, low-functioning state. And from inside that state, we make worse decisions. We eat more reactively, not less. We exercise less consistently, not more. We hide our bodies rather than tending to them. The cruelty does not motivate care. It blocks care. Compassion, by contrast, regulates the nervous system, opens up the prefrontal cortex, and creates the conditions in which actual care becomes possible. Think about how this works in any other domain of your life. If you have a kid who is struggling, you do not motivate them by telling them that they're worthless, do you? If you have an employee who's underperforming, you don't improve their performance by rattling off a list of all their flaws during your next team meeting. If you have a dog who needs training, you do not get him to start doing fancy tricks by rolling up a newspaper and smacking him upside the head with it, do you? We know intuitively that these things don't work. That cruelty is not an effective tool to create sustainable change. And yet, for some crazy reason, we have somehow convinced ourselves that cruelty is the right tool for the one human that we live inside of. The math isn't mathing, y'all, and it never did. Let me tell you of a moment from my own life that changed me, because the research is one thing, but lived experience is another. So a few years ago, I was in a long season of depression, and I saw something online that frankly made me roll my eyes when I saw it. I stumbled on a random account that mentioned a body gratitude practice or something like that. The strategy was to spend 60 seconds every morning thanking my body for something specific it does for me. Not how it looks, what it does. And as mentioned, I rolled my eyes so hard I almost saw the back of my own skull. But because I had run out of ideas and I was super depressed, I tried it anyway. The first time I stood in my bathroom and said out loud, "Thank you, body, for getting me through this week," I almost cried. I swear, I did not see this coming. I did not realize how long it had been since I said something kind to the body that I had spent decades treating like an inconvenience. Real talk, if you're like me back then and you think that you're too cool, too sophisticated, or possibly too mature to try something like this, please consider that the cynicism is part of the wall that you're going to have to climb over to get to the other side of this challenge. So here is the first kind of strategy episode. I want you to do what I call the body gratitude practice. Here's how it works. Every single day for the next 30 days, I want you to spend 60 seconds, 1 whole minute, thanking your body for something specific that it does for you. Again, not how it looks, what it does. For example, thank you, body, for digesting the meal that I just ate without me even having to think about it. Or, thank you, lungs, for breathing 22,000 times today without any reminders from me. Or, thank you, legs, for carrying me up the stairs in this building 3 times today. Or, thank you, hands, for typing the emails, holding the coffee cup, holding my kid. Or, thank you, heart, for beating roughly 100,000 times today, every single one of them keeping me alive. I could keep going. You get the point. The key is to do it out loud. Do it in front of a mirror if you can stand it. And if you can't stand it and that bar is too high, do it in the shower if the mirror is too much. Do it lying in bed before you go to sleep. The specific time does not matter. What matters is that you're doing it deliberately, consistently directing your attention to the staggering generosity of the body that you live in. Your body has never abandoned you. Even on the days that you have hated it the most, it still keeps showing up for you. It has kept your heart beating while you slept. It has kept your lung breathing while you cried. It's carried you through every traumatic experience, every illness, every long week, every hard year. The body gratitude practice is the radical act of acknowledging the ride or die partner that you've been treating like an enemy for decades. Even after you started the gratitude practice, that mean voice is still going to show up. Decades of harsh self-talk does not get magically corrected by a single new habit. The old voice is still in there, and it's going to keep doing its thing every time you catch a reflection in a window, every time you put on some tight jeans, every time you see somebody with a body that you wish you had. Now, before I give you what to do about it, I want to spend a minute on where the voice actually came from, because I think understanding that changes everything about how you relate to it. That voice in your head that is cruel to your body is almost never originally yours. It is somebody else's voice you've been carrying around for so long that sounds like yours. It might be your mother's voice who hated her own body and modeled that hatred in front of you for the first 18 years of your life. It might be a coach's voice from when you were 11. It might be a doctor's voice from a checkup that left you feeling super judged. It might be a magazine that you read at 15, an offhand comment from your ex about your weight, or a photo that you saw from a wedding that you wish you had not been in. The voice got installed somewhere and it's been running ever since, and you have probably been treating it like reliable information about your body, when in fact, it is just an old recording that you never asked to be playing. Let me share a composite example of a story that I've heard in different variations from countless friends, colleagues, even audience members of my talks over the years. Imagine a woman named Lana. She's in her late 40s and is deeply unhappy with her body and cannot figure out why, because every measure, she was healthy, she was well. The cruelty in her self-talk did not match her circumstances. In a therapy session one day, her therapist asked her to write down the exact sentences that she said to herself in the mirror, and then, for each one, whose voice was she hearing? Lana sat with the exercise for a week, and then one night, in her kitchen, she had a moment. The voice in her head was almost word for word her father's voice. Her father had spent her childhood making cruel comments about her body, about her weight, about how she looked in dresses. Her father had been dead for 15 years, and here he was, still narrating her relationship with her body every day on a loop that she did not even know was running. Can you relate to this story in some way? And if so, more importantly, if you can discover who is behind the toxic narratives that have been running unchecked in your head, you can begin the important work of creating a different relationship with that voice. So here is the second kind of strategy of the episode. I want you to do what I call the mean talk interruption. So here's how this works. The next time you catch yourself in a mean talk sentence about your body, my arms look disgusting, or I'm so fat, or I'm so wrinkly and old, or I look terrible today. Whatever the specific cruelty is, you're going to do 4 things. Step 1, catch it. The moment you notice a sentence, pause. Just pause. Do not engage. Do not argue. Do not analyze. Just notice the voice is speaking. Step 2, name it. In your head, say, that was unkind self-talk. That's it. 1 sentence. You're labeling the speech, not judging yourself for thinking it. The label is the interruption. Step 3, ask the friend question. Ask yourself, would I say this to someone that I love? If the answer is no, and if you're tethered to your humanity, it will always be no, then you have just received clear information about whether this thought deserves your belief. You would not say it to your friend, so you don't have to say it to yourself. And step 4, offer the replacement. After you have caught, named, and questioned the mean talk, offer your body the sentence you would offer a friend. I'm so grateful for this body for getting me through today. Or, this body is carrying me through more than most people can ever imagine. Or, my body is doing its job, and my job is to take care of it. And I have one very important additional part of this challenge. I want you to take this seriously because it could change your life. For the next 7 days, no negative body talk in front of your kids, your partner, or anybody you love. 0. If the thought comes up, you handle it internally using the 4-step interruption. If you absolutely have to say something out loud, just say a neutral, factual thing like, I'm going to change my clothes before dinner, instead of a self-attack. If nothing else, please remember this. The people in your life are listening and they're learning from you how to look at themselves. The mean talk that you broadcast about yourself could become the script that your loved ones inherit. There's profound wisdom in choosing not to pass along these harmful narratives to the people that you care about the most. Hey, fellow kindness extremists, it's me, Shola. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, if you're mowing what I'm growing, if you're smelling what I'm stepping in. Okay, I'll stop. If you're enjoying what you're listening to so far, I would love it if you would take a moment to hit the subscribe button and leave a rating and a review. Those incredibly kind acts go so far in helping me to reach as many people as possible who will join the movement to actively create a kinder world. I appreciate you so much, my friend. Okay, let's get back to the episode. Here's a truth that I had to learn the hard way. You cannot think yourself into a kinder relationship with your body. You have to act your way into it, and the action has to be small enough that you will actually do it on a Tuesday when you're tired, when you don't feel like it, when nothing in you wants to do anything kind for anyone, let alone for yourself. Let me give you the standard that I want you to hold yourself to. If you've followed me for a while, you already know that I'm a huge animal lover. So think about how you would treat any animal in your care that you genuinely love. A dog, a cat, a horse. You would not let that animal go without water all day. You would not let it sleep on a hard floor when you have a soft bed available. You would not starve it because you were too busy. You would feed it, water it, walk it, rest it. You would do all those things without thinking. They would be sacred. Your body deserves at least that basic level of care. And for many of us, this is the deepest work that we'll ever do, learning to treat ourselves with the same baseline kindness we extend without question to other living creatures. A couple of years ago at one of my events, I met a guy who I'll call Pete at one of the pre-conference parties. He was a self-professed workaholic in his late 50s, and we're talking about how tricky it is to stay healthy in middle age. Strangely, he was convinced that he needed a brand new fitness regimen, a complete diet overhaul, and probably a multi-week retreat to reset his relationship with his body. But after digging a little deeper, he admitted that he was consistently running on 3 hours of sleep, drinking a pot of coffee a day, eating one rushed meal at 9 p.m., and he had not been to the doctor in 8 years. Look, yo, I'm not a physician, but I don't need an MD after my name to know that he wasn't being kind to his body. So I gently suggested that instead of starting some over-the-top fitness regimen, why don't you just start by drinking a glass of water before he drank his next cup of coffee and mixing in a short walk sometime during his day? That was it. That was the assignment. He laughed at me initially, but he did say he'd give it a try. Unfortunately, though, I never saw the guy again, so I have no idea if he actually did it. But still, though, what I shared with him is exactly the formula that I shared in more detail in episode 31 of this podcast about overcoming procrastination, and it works incredibly well. My man did not need a complete transformation. He just needed to stop being at war with himself, and sometimes that's enough. So here's the third kindness strategy of this episode. I want you to do what I call the body kindness action. So here's how this works. One specific embodied act of kindness towards your body per day. The key word is one. We're not building an elaborate self-care regimen. We are practicing the muscle of asking, what would be kind to this body today? And then doing whatever small thing the answer turns out to be. I'll give you 8 simple examples to get you started. 1, drinking a full glass of water first thing in the morning instead of immediately going to caffeine. 2, going to bed 30 minutes earlier than usual. 3, a 10-minute walk after dinner, ideally without your phone, but if you choose to bring it, listen to something uplifting and energizing. 4, eating a meal sitting down at a table with no screens and actual attention to what you're eating. 5, stretching for 5 minutes when you wake up in bed before you do anything else. 6, putting lotion on after you shower slowly, like you actually like the body you're putting it on. 7, saying no to the thing that you do not want to do because your body has been asking for you to rest. 8, saying yes to the thing your body is actually craving, a nap, a long bath, a real lunch break. Notice that none of those things are about fixing your body. None of them about losing weight, building muscle, chasing some aesthetic goal. They're all about treating the body you currently have in the shape that it is currently in with basic, loving care. One trap to avoid. Do not let the body kindness action sneak into a stealth diet or workout program. If you wake up tomorrow and your one act is, I need to go for a 5-mile run, pause and check your motive. Are you running because your body would actually love a 5-mile run today? Or are you running because you ate an entire pepperoni pizza last night and you're punishing yourself for it? Those two things look the same on the outside, but they're completely different on the inside. That's what the body kindness action is by definition, an act of kindness. If the act has cruelty embedded in it, it does not count and you're doing it wrong. So please try this for 30 days. Write it down. Track it. It does not have to be big. It just has to be intentional. Over time, what you'll notice is that your relationship with your body starts to soften. The mirror gets a little quieter. The mean voice gets a little less authoritative. The body itself starts to feel less like an enemy and more like a partner. That is the goal, and that's how you know that you're finally winning. Woo! We covered a lot in this episode, family. So today we did something that almost no one in our culture is ever invited to do. We directly addressed the brutal, decades-long pattern of being cruel to our own bodies, and we built real, sustainable, kindness-based alternative. In part 1, we committed to the body gratitude practice, a daily 1-minute ritual of thanking the body for the specific thing it does for you, not the way it looks. In part 2, we explored where the cruel voice actually came from. Almost originally, it's never yours, and we built the mean talk interruption, a 4-step practice of catching mean talk, naming it, and asking the friend question, then offering a replacement sentence. We also committed to 7 days with no negative body talk in front of the people we love. In part 3, we committed to the body kindness action, one small, intentional, embodied act of care for your body every single day for the next 30 days. We held ourselves to the standard of how we would treat a beloved animal in our care because our bodies, at minimum, deserve that, right? So let me tie all of this together. Your body is not a problem to be solved. It's not a project to be completed. It's not a before picture waiting for the much improved after version. It is the actual living vehicle of your one actual life and is doing the absolute best it can with what it's been given. Let me keep it a buck with you. If you're anything like me, you will not always like your body. You will not always feel at home in it. You'll go through seasons of weight gain, weight loss, illness, recovery, aging, change. This is just being human in a body. That's what this is all about. What I'm asking you to commit to is not loving your body in every season, because again, if you're like me, that is totally unrealistic. However, I am asking you to be kind to it in every season. Those are very different things. Kindness is unconditional. Love sometimes is a bridge too far. Kindness is always available. Also, a word of caution. If you've spent decades being cruel to your own body, please do not turn that cruelty around now and start being cruel to yourself for the cruelty that you gave to your body. That is just another loop that leads to nowhere positive. Instead, today, take a moment, take a breath, put your hand on your chest, feel your heart beating, say out loud or in your head, "Thank you for keeping me alive." That is the whole start of the practice. That's enough for today. You do not have to love every inch of yourself to be a kindness extremist. You just have to extend to the body that you live in even a fraction of the kindness you so freely give to everyone else. Your body is not the consolation prize for the life that you wish you had. Your body is the temple, the instrument, the vehicle, the home. It's the only place you're ever going to live. Treat it the way you treat any home that you're grateful to live in. Family, this is your host, Shola Richards, aka Brother Teresa, and you now know that kindness can't be weak because you just experienced the strength of the Kindness Extremist podcast. Until next time, my friend, the journey to a kinder world continues. Thank you for listening to the Kindness Extremist podcast. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode, and I have one favor to ask you. If you could kindly hit the subscribe button, leave a rating and a review, not only would that be incredibly kind, but by doing so, you're actively playing a role in growing this movement and ideally getting us one step closer to creating a kinder world. I hope to see you next week for another episode of the Kindness Extremist podcast. Bye for now.